Welcome all to the part 7 of the series Understanding Goods and Services Tax. We are discussing since the last two parts the definition of business and the key terms which form the very base of the definition of business under the GST Act. Today we will be discussing what is meant by adventure and how CGST Act makes a departure from the other acts while incorporating adventure in the definition of business. Before moving ahead, let's have a brief background about the terms adventure and adventure in the nature of trade. ये बहुत कॉमन क्वेश्चन आता है दिमाग में कि अगर मैंने प्रॉपर्टी रेंट पे दी है और वो मेरे पास सिंगल प्रॉपर्टी है तो क्यों वो बिजनेस माना जाता है? अगर मैंने बैंक में एफडी कराई है तो क्या वो बिजनेस की डेफिनेशन में आएगा और क्या बिजनेस की डेफिनेशन के कारण सप्लाई माना जाएगा या नहीं माना जाएगा? मैंने कोई कमोडिटी एक बार खरीदी और एक बार खरीद के उसको बेच दिया तो क्या वो जीएसटी में बिजनेस माना जाएगा और बिजनेस मान के क्या सप्लाई की डेफिनेशन में आएगा? मैंने किसी को इंटरेस्ट पे लोन दिया है तो वो जो लोन है उससे मिलने वाला जो इंटरेस्ट है क्या वो बिजनेस में आन करके सप्लाई की डेफिनेशन में आके क्या जीएसटी के परव्यू में आएगा या नहीं आएगा? बहुत कॉमन क्वेश्चंस हैं जिनका हम आंसर ढूंढने की कोशिश करते हैं पर कई जगह हम उस पे जाके रुक जाते हैं और कोई कंफर्म हमारा व्यू नहीं बना पाते हैं. अकॉर्डिंग टू मी, आंसर टू all these questions somewhere lies between the definition of adventure and adventure in the nature of trade and how GST has used the term adventure while defining the term of business and consequentially covering it under the scope of supply under section 7 of CGST Act. So आज का ये जो presentation है, it would be detailing out the meaning of the term adventure, adventure in the nature of trade, differences between the two, how GST Act tries to cover within its ambit adventure and consequentially in the definition of business and scope of supply, and how GST has made or taken a different path from the acts under the pre-GST regime while defining the term business. In the case of Commissioner of Income Tax versus Dr. Indubala Chavda, Honorable Delhi High Court referred to the decision of Honorable Apex Court in case of Raja Bahadur Kamakhya Narayan Singh versus CIT, wherein they said that if the transaction is in the ordinary line of assessee, then there would hardly be any difficulty in concluding that it was a trading transaction. So therefore, if I am executing a transaction which is part of my regular trade, then it would be a trading transaction or a transaction which I am executing in my everyday business. But where a transaction is not in the ordinary line of the business and it is a transaction which is separate or which does not fall into my day-to-day transaction, then the facts must be properly assessed to discover whether it was in the nature of trade. That is adventure in the nature of trade. Similar views have been expressed by Honorable Supreme Court in the case of CIT versus Sutlej Cotton Mills Supply Agency. So a distinction has been sought to be made between a regular transaction of the business and a transaction which does not have any link with the existing line of business. And that is where adventure or the adventure in the nature of trade comes into play. So let's take an example of what we have discussed in previous slide, that how a transaction carried out by a person can be separate or distinct from a regular day-to-day transaction entered into by a person in his ordinary course of business. Honorable Apex Court in the matter of G. Venkataswamy Naidu and Company versus the Commissioner of Income Tax referred to a case Martin versus Lorry before the House of Lords, wherein there was a wholesale agriculture machinery merchant who entered into a transaction of purchasing a aeroplane linen from the government at a fixed price per yard. And that purchase of aeroplane linen was of 44 million yards. So when the transaction for taxability came before the House of Lords, the first contention which was raised before them was that the assessee did not carry on the trade of or business but only engaged in a single adventure not involving trading operations. So the first contention or the key contention before House of Lords was that since it is a single transaction of purchasing an aeroplane linen, and that aeroplane linen has been sold by the merchant which does not have any link with his existing line of business, which is agriculture machinery. Therefore, that act of purchasing a linen and selling it is not in the nature of trading operation, and it is a single adventure which cannot be held as a business. Although subsequently it was decided to be a business adventure in the nature of trade, but this is an example of how a single transaction which is not part of regular day-to-day business is sought to be covered under the definition of business through the terms adventure or adventure in the nature of trade. Now coming to the meaning of adventure, what is meant by adventure? CGST Act Section 2 Clause 17 definition of business subclause A contains the term adventure. So what is meant by adventure? In the case of Smith Barry versus Cardy, it was observed that the Oxford Dictionary gives several meanings of the term adventure, but the most appropriate is that number 7, wherein adventure is held to be a pecuniary risk, a venture, a speculation, a commercial enterprise. So, whenever I am taking a pecuniary risk, I am entering into a venture, I am entering into a speculation, and it is in the nature of a commercial enterprise, then it is called adventure. And an example which was referred was, whilst interest is at 6%, no man will run an adventure to sea for a gain of 8 or 9%. So whenever I am taking a risk and that risk involves deviating from the normal risk-free zone, then it would be falling under the category of adventure. Honorable Madras High Court in the case of Commissioner of Income Tax versus Kasturi Estate also referred to the definition of adventure as given in shorter Oxford Dictionary, wherein it has been held as a pecuniary venture or a speculation, and the term venture is in turn defined as a meaning of commercial enterprise in which there is a considerable risk of loss as well as chance of gain. So what we can conclude is that term adventure is a transaction which is not part of my regular business or a regular activity, and wherein I enter into with a considerable risk of loss as well as a chance of gain. It might be a single transaction. If it is a regular transaction, then it might fall into the category of trade. But if it's a single transaction and there is a considerable risk of loss as well as a chance of gain, or there is a speculation, then it would be falling under the category of adventure. So if supposedly I purchase a property with an intention of selling it within a period of say 2 to 3 months, it is an adventure. I purchase a property, say a movable property, and sell it within a short span of time, it is an adventure. So this is a broad meaning of adventure. Going forward, we would be discussing how the term would be applicable in terms of supply as provided under section 7 of CGST Act. Read with definition of business as provided in section 2 clause 17 of CGST Act. Now, how GST statute makes a departure from the other laws while drafting definition of business, and this is probably the biggest thing while assessing or interpreting the definition of business. We would have to somewhere keep the definition of business as generally understood by us in the previous laws away and read it in the context in which the drafters or the lawmakers have sought to include the term adventure in the definition of business. Now, how the GST statute makes the departure from other laws? Now, if we refer to the definition of business in other statutes, that is the Income Tax Act or the Central Sales Tax Act or the RVAT Act, what we see is while Section 2 Clause 17 of CGST Act uses the term adventure, these acts are using the term adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce or manufacture. If we refer to section 213 of Income Tax Act or 2 clause 6 of RVAC Act or 2 clause AA of CST Act, everywhere it has been used adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce or manufacture. RVAT Act uses any adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce or manufacture. Central Sales Tax Act uses any adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce, or manufacture. So, what is the difference which is being brought through the use of only the term adventure and not using in terms of adventure in the nature of trade? That's the crux of how the term adventure would be interpreted in the definition of business, and it is much wider in context than how the term was being used in the previous act, say the RVAT Act or the Central Sales Tax Act. So before moving on to the scope of how adventure is broader than the term adventure in the nature of trade, let's try to understand what is meant by adventure in the nature of trade. Honorable Apex Court in the case of G. Venkataswamy Naidu and Company versus the Commission of Income Tax held that it is obviously when the section refers to an adventure in the nature of trade, it is obviously referring to a transaction which is individually cannot be described as trade or business but are essentially of such a similar character they are treated as in the nature of trade. So when the statute uses the term adventure in the nature of trade, the phrase in the nature of trade makes a mandate that the adventure would only fall in the definition of business when it is in the nature of trade. It might not individually classify as a trade, but it would be adventure in the nature of trade. In the case of Meenakshi Mills Madurai versus the Commission of Income Tax, Honorable Apex Court said that the very expression in the nature of trade requires that the adventure should possess certain elements which in law would invest it with the characteristics of trade. So when the term is being used, adventure in the nature of trade, that transaction should have some characteristics, although not all the characteristics of the trade, but it should have some characteristics of the trade, then only it will fall in the scope of the term adventure in the nature of trade. Honorable Apex Court then referred to the decision of House of Lords in case of Cooper versus Stubbs and Jones versus Leeming, wherein it was observed that a transaction is or is not an adventure in the nature of trade is to say that it has the characteristics of the trade or not. If the transaction has certain characteristics of the trade, only then it would be falling in the scope of adventure in the nature of trade. In the case of Assistant CIT versus Narendra I. Bhuva, Honorable Bombay High Court specifically said that the word adventure in the nature of trade clearly suggests that transaction cannot be properly regarded as trade or business. It is an allied to transaction that constitutes trade or business but may not be trade or business itself. So the transaction may not be trade or business in itself, but it has the characteristics of trade or business. So what are the major relevant circumstances wherein a transaction would be held as adventure in the nature of trade? And they said that major relevant circumstances that will determine whether a particular transaction is adventure in the nature of trade are subject matter of the transaction, length of the period of ownership, frequency or number of similar transactions by the same person, supplementary work or in connection with the property realized, circumstances that were responsible for realization and the motive. So these are the transactions which would be governing whether the transaction would be falling into the scope of adventure in the nature of trade. So supposedly say I have purchased something, say a computer, and after purchasing the computer, I get it repaired and sell it within a period within a short span of say 15 days or 20 days. So now, so now the period of ownership and a subsequent act wherein I have repaired the computer and then immediately after repairing I have sold it. This is a transaction which would be falling into the category of adventure in the nature of trade. Honorable Bombay High Court also observed that a single transaction of purchase and sale outside assessee's line of business may constitute adventure in the nature of trade if there is a repetition and continuity. The assessee would be continuing business, and the question whether action is in an adventure nature of trade can hardly arise. So whenever we are referring to the term adventure or adventure in the nature of trade, it is a given fact that the transaction is not a repetitive transaction. It is a single transaction or a very less frequent number of transactions, which in itself would not be falling into the category of trade. But the modus operandi by which those transactions have been entered and executed, by that modus operandi, we can see that there are certain characteristics of trade attached with that transaction, and therefore it would be falling into the scope of adventure in the nature of trade. Honorable Apex Court, in case of G. Venkataswamy Naidu and Company versus Commission of Income Tax, also laid down certain key guidelines for what constitutes adventure in the nature of trade. And all this is a landmark judgment wherein these guidelines, although not conclusive, but have been followed in majority of judgments given on the scope of the adventure in the nature of trade. Some of the key guidelines, key issues which were provided by the Honorable Apex Court was: if the commodity purchase is generally the subject matter of trade and if it is purchased in very large quantities, it would tend to eliminate the possibility of investment for personal use or possession. So if I have brought a big quantity, big chunk, then the possibility that the big chunk was used for personal use or possession or as an investment would not be there, and it would be falling in the category of adventure in the nature of trade. Second, did the purchaser by any act subsequent to the purchase improve the quality of the commodity purchased? So, like the example which we discussed, that I have purchased a computer and got it repaired and then sold it. So there was an act subsequent to the purchase to improve the quality of the commodity, which reflected that the transaction or the motive behind the transaction was not to use it for a personal gain, not to use that computer as an investment. There was a motive to sell it by improving the quality of the commodity. What were the incidents associated with the purchase and sale? Were they similar to the operation usually associated with the trade or business, or are the transaction of purchase and sale repeated? So if I am repeating the transactions again and again, it would not be adventure in the nature of trade, it would be more falling into the definition of trade rather than the adventure in the nature of trade. So these are some broad guidelines which were laid down by Honorable Apex Court in case of G. Venkataswamy Naidu and Company versus the Commission of Income Tax. So for a transaction to fall in the category of adventure in nature of trade, certain characteristics of trade should be there, and how those characteristics would be identified. These identification guidelines have been given in this case as well as by Honorable Bombay High Court in the decision as discussed earlier. In another case of Deputy Commissioner of Income Tax versus Sri Gopal Ram Narayan Kasat, Honorable Bombay High Court said, to supplement as also to further elaborate this discussion, it can be added that the word adventure may be in the realms of travel, voyage, hunting, etc. But it is attached with other words, that is adventure in the nature of trade, then the motive of adventure is attached with the motive of trade. So when the term in the nature of trade is being attached with adventure, there has to be a motive of trade. But if the motive of trade is not absent, then the activity would not be falling into the realms of adventure in the nature of trade. And Honorable Bombay High Court also gave certain guidelines for how to categorize a transaction in the adventure in the nature of trade. The motive of the seller, his intention behind sale, his overall activity to accomplish the desired goal are all in conjunction with the conduct of the assessee so as to establish that the adventure as taken by him was in the sphere of trade activity. So this is all about adventure in the nature of trade and how the term has to be interpreted. When we were discussing adventure earlier, there was no discussion that whether that adventure should have the characteristic of the trade. That adventure is a standalone term. But when we are discussing the phrase adventure in the nature of trade, in that case, for a transaction to fall in this category, there has to be characteristics of trade associated with that adventure. In another case of Commission of Income Tax versus MHP Nadar Sons, Honorable Madras High Court referred to a decision, Canadian decision, and said that for being a trade, there has to be four key conditions. Presence of an organization set up for the purpose of trade, multiplicity of transactions, prior association of the business, and existence of a scheme, system, business or operation. So these are the four characteristics which as per the Canadian code are required for a trade, and that a single transaction may well be the latter without being in the former, provided it is essentially commercial, and that the absence of one or all of the usual badges of trade does not negate the existence of an adventure in the nature of trade. So a single transaction which might not have all the four requisites but have some of the four requisites, and presence of those requisites would entail that transaction to fall in the category of adventure in the nature of trade. एंड वन कैन नॉट से कि भाई इस चार में से तो दो तो प्रेजेंट है और दो नहीं है. इस कारण से जब तक चारों पूरी प्रेजेंट नहीं होंगी कंडीशन, तब तक वो एडवेंचर इन नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड नहीं बनेगा. अगर मान लीजिए चार में से दो कंडीशन भी हैं या तीन कंडीशन भी हैं, लुके बेस्ड ऑन फैक्ट ऑफ ईच केस, then also that single transaction may fall in the category of adventure in the nature of trade. One of the key ingredients or reflection of a transaction whether it falls into the category of adventure nature of trade is presence of instant profit, motive of instant profit. Although this cannot be a sole criteria, but it is a very important criteria to identify whether a transaction falls into the category of adventure in the nature of trade. So supposedly I purchase a share, instantly sales it. It is an adventure in the nature of trade. I purchase a immovable property and instantly sell it. That might fall into the category of adventure in the nature of trade. And Honorable Apex Court referred to the decision of Commissioners of Inland Revenue versus Reinhold and held that, as we have already pointed out, if it is shown that in purchasing the commodity in question, the assessee was actuated by the sole intention to sell it at a profit, that no doubt is a relevant circumstances which would raise a strong presumption that the purchase and subsequent sale are adventure in the nature of trade. But the said presumption is not conclusive and it may be reverted or offset by the other relevant circumstances. So a presence of motive of instant profit कि यार आज लिया और जल्दी से जल्दी इसको बेचूं, वो जल्दी से जल्दी would be in the context of each transaction. It may be as short as one day, it may be as long as 1 month or 2 months. So if I am purchasing a commodity which is a ready market, that instant profit can be realized within a period of say 2 days. But if I am purchasing an immovable property which I have to develop and then sold, or purchase an immovable property and I have to create a market for that and it takes 2 months, still that presence of motive for instant profit is there in that transaction. The intention, how the intention shows that the transaction is adventure in the nature of trade. In case of Commission of Income Tax versus Satluj Cartel Mills, Honorable Apex Court said, what was the dominant intention of the assessee when it purchased the share? If the dominant intention was to carry on adventure in the nature of business, the profit can be taxed, otherwise not. In other words, the question is whether the assessee purchased the share in the commercial spirit with a view to make profit by trading in them. So there are two important conditions. Purchase the share in commercial spirit, and what was the commercial spirit? The commercial spirit was to make the profit by trading in them. So only if the transaction falls in the adventure in the nature of the trade, then only it can be taxed. And how it would be falling? One important prerequisite or indication can be the intention, that whether the intention was to purchase the shares in commercial spirit and sell them instantly in profit by trading in them. So intention can also be a important indication that whether the transaction was adventure in the nature of trade. It was all about adventure in the nature of trade. We have discussed the term adventure as well as adventure in the nature of trade. Now, what is the difference between the adventure and adventure in the nature of trade? So the first thing is that the phrase in the nature of trade is not attached in case of adventure. So when the term adventure is only written in the statute, that transaction does not need to have any qualities of characteristics of a trade. Without having a characteristic of trade, still that transaction would be falling in the realms of adventure, and when it falls in the realms of adventure, it would be falling in the ambit of definition of business in GST Act. How this conclusion or it could be understood, let's move ahead and discuss it. In the case of Mrs. D.M. Alexander versus the Commissioner of Income Tax, Honorable Madras High Court said, and it's a very important observation, an isolated transaction of purchase and sale of land may be speculation. मैंने एक जमीन खरीदी और उसको हाथों हाथ बेची. Every speculation is an adventure. मतलब अगर मैंने इंस्टेंटली खरीद के बेचा है तो इट इज एन एडवेंचर. But unless it is an adventure nature trade, the profit thereof will not be accessible to income tax. अब उन्होंने बोला कि मैंने प्रॉपर्टी खरीद के बेची, ये एक स्पेकुलेशन है और एवरी स्पेकुलेशन इज एन एडवेंचर एज वी हैव डिस्कस्ड द मीनिंग ऑफ द एडवेंचर इन द ऑक्सफोर्ड डिक्शनरी. But not every adventure is in the nature of adventure in the nature of trade. Because for a transaction of adventure to be falling in the phrase of adventure in the nature of trade, it should have certain characteristics of the trade. And since the Income Tax Act uses the phrase adventure in the nature of trade, so without a transaction, although in the category of adventure, but if not proved to be falling in the category of adventure in the nature of trade, since it does not have the characteristic of trade, it would not be taxable in income tax. They referred the decision of Balcony Land Trust Limited versus the Commission of Inland Revenue, wherein it was famously said that a single plunge may be enough, that a single transaction may be enough, provided it is shown to the satisfaction of the court that the plunge is made in the waters of trade. So the single plunge, if it is shown to be made in the waters of trade, then only it would be falling in the adventure in the nature of trade. But if the statute only uses adventure, then it has not to be shown that there was characteristics of trade present in that transaction. So, but the sale of piece of property, if that is all that is involved in the plunge, as easily falls short of anything in the nature of trade. So, sale of that property, although treated as speculation, and speculation treated as adventure, but it was not held as adventure in the nature of trade, since the court was not able to see that what are the other characteristics of trade attached in that transaction. तो अगर मैं इनकम टैक्स एक्ट की बात करता तो वो जो परचेज और सेल ऑफ लैंड है वो कोर्ट ने बोल दिया कि क्योंकि इनकम टैक्स एक्ट एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड यूज करता है और इसमें आप ट्रेड के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक नहीं दिखा पाए हैं, इसलिए इनकम टैक्स में ये बिजनेस में फॉल नहीं करता. पर अगर इसी ट्रांजेक्शन में जीएसटी की बात करूं तो जीएसटी में इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड नहीं लिखा हुआ है, सिर्फ टर्म एडवेंचर यूज किया हुआ है. तो जो ट्रांजेक्शन ऑल्दो इनकम टैक्स में नहीं टैक्सेबल था, बिजनेस में फॉल नहीं कर रहा था, दैट वुड बी फॉलिंग अंडर द realm of business, since GST Act only uses the term adventure. और अगर मैंने बता दिया कि मैंने कोई ट्रांजेक्शन था उसमें मैंने रिस्क लिया था, वो रिस्क जो था वो इन द नेचर ऑफ या तो स्पेकुलेशन था या वो रिस्क जो था वो पिक्यूनरी वेंचर था जहां पे चांसेस ऑफ गेन भी थे या रिस्क ऑफ लॉस भी था, तो मेरे को जीएसटी एक्ट में सिर्फ इतना सा देखना है, मेरे को ये नहीं देखना कि क्या ट्रेड के कोई कैरेक्टरिस्टिक उस ट्रांजेक्शन में थे या नहीं थे. Going ahead, in the same case, Honorable Madras High Court then referred to another decision which said that if a man outside his regular business makes a speculative purchase of an article or commodity with a view to its profitable resale, he is not for that reason alone venturing on a trade. मतलब मैंने अगर कोई चीज खरीदी और मैंने उसको हाथों हाथ बेचा, although it can be a speculation, although it can be an adventure, but there has to be some other characteristic of trade to be present there to hold that transaction to be venturing into a trade. Merely because I have sold that instantly for a profit would not alone hold me, although it is a major thing, major indication or major aspect to hold that transaction to be covering under adventure in the nature of trade, but it cannot be the sole criteria. There has to be some other aspects of trade to be present there for a transaction or a speculation, although being an adventure, to be held as an adventure in the nature of trade. And therefore, the decision concluded to use the words of our act, it is not necessarily an adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce, or manufacture. Now, another famous decision which was referred by Honorable Madras High Court in the case of Commission of Income Tax versus Kasturi Estates Private Limited of a dividend stripping transaction before the House of Lords in the matter of JP Harrison Limited versus the Griffiths. So before going into what was observed by the House of Lords, let's try to understand what is meant by a dividend stripping transaction. एक एग्जांपल लेते हैं, मान लीजिए एक शेयर है जो 100 रुपीज पे ट्रेड कर रहा है 1 जून 2019 को। कंपनी उस दिन एक डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करती है 5 रुपए का और उसके साथ में एक रिकॉर्ड डेट देती है, मान लीजिए 20 जून 2019 की, कि 20 जून 2019 को जो भी जने इस शेयर को होल्ड करेंगे उनको 5 रुपए का डिविडेंड दिया जाएगा। तो वो 1 जून 2019 को मान लीजिए 100 रुपए का चल रहा है और डिविडेंड की डिक्लेरेशन हुई और किसी जने ने उस दिन वो 100 रुपए का शेयर खरीद लिया। अब 20 तारीख को तक उसने होल्ड करके रखा और क्योंकि वो शेयर होल्डर था तो उसको 5 रुपए का डिविडेंड मिल गया। पर जिस दिन रिकॉर्ड डेट होती है उस दिन शेयर मार्केट में वो ट्रांजेक्शन एक्स डिविडेंड हो जाता है, वेरिन अगर मान लीजिए वो उस दिन भी 100 रुपए पे चल रहा है 20 जून को, तो उसमें से 5 रुपए कम होकर के वो 95 का हो जाएगा। या फिर अगर वो मान लीजिए 110 का चल रहा है तो 5 रुपए कम होकर के 105 हो जाएगा, या मान लीजिए वो अगर 90 का चल रहा है तो 5 रुपए कम होकर के वो 85 का हो जाएगा। तो जो भी उस दिन की 20 तारीख की मार्केट वैल्यू है उसमें 5 रुपए का माइनस हो जाएगा। तो व्हाट हैपन से कि मान लीजिए किसी ने 100 रुपए में खरीदा था उसको 1 जून को और वो 20 जून को भी 100 रुपए का चल रहा है और 5 रुपए का उसको डिविडेंड मिल गया और वो 20 जून को 95 का हो गया एक्स डिविडेंड, और उस जने ने उसको 95 रुपीज में सेल कर दिया। तो एज अ स्टैंड अलोन ट्रांजेक्शन ऑफ परचेज और सेल देखेंगे तो परचेज 100 रुपए की और सेल 95 की है, तो 5 रुपए का लॉस है। पर वो लॉस क्यों है? क्योंकि 5 रुपए का डिविडेंड मिला हुआ है, पर वो डिविडेंड जो है वो अलग एक एक्टिविटी है। तो ऐसे ट्रांजेक्शन को डिविडेंड स्ट्रिपिंग ट्रांजेक्शन बोलते हैं, जहां ऑन अकाउंट ऑफ द शेयर बीइंग कोटेड एक्स डिविडेंड आई एम हैविंग अ कैपिटल लॉस। तो अब चीज ये आई कि क्या ये डिविडेंड स्ट्रिपिंग ट्रांजेक्शन जो है ये एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड है या नहीं है। तो हाउस ऑफ लॉर्ड ने एक बहुत relevant example दिया to explain the meaning or the difference between adventure and adventure in the nature of trade. And what they said there, is a monkey a human being or an animal in the nature of human being? क्या एक monkey human being है और it is an animal in the nature of human being? It has a head, a body, 2 legs and 2 arms. तो अब देखिए what details does it lack? तो monkey जो है इट इज नॉट अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, पर फिर भी उस मंकी में ह्यूमन बीइंग के काफी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं, जैसे ही हैज अ हेड, अ बॉडी, 2 legs एंड 2 arms. So it falls not in the category of human being but an animal in the nature of a human being. और जो सेकेंड एग्जांपल दिया, टेक अ गैंग ऑफ बर्गलर्स, are they engaged in trade or an adventure in the nature of trade? अब वो जो बर्गलर्स हैं, व्हाट दे आर डूइंग, क्या वो ट्रेड में एंगेज हैं या एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड है? दे हैव एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, दे स्पेंड मनी ऑन इक्विपमेंट, they acquire goods by their effort, they sell the goods, they make a profit. उनकी एक एक्टिविटी है, इट इज ऑर्गेनाइज एक्टिविटी। वो उस बर्गलरी को करने के लिए कुछ इक्विपमेंट भी परचेज करते हैं, वहां पे एफर्ट भी इन्वॉल्व है, वो गुड्स को बेचते भी हैं और प्रॉफिट भी है। तो व्हाट डिटेल इज लैकिंग इन देयर एडवेंचर? वो जो उनका काम है वो ट्रेड क्यों नहीं बन रहा है, या वो एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड क्यों नहीं है? पहला तो लीगैलिटी है, पर लीगैलिटी इज नॉट एसेंशियल फॉर कैरेक्टरिस्टिक ऑफ अ ट्रेड। You cannot point to any detail that it lacks, but still it is not a trade nor an adventure in the nature of trade. तो जो burglars की एक्टिविटी है वो ट्रेड नहीं है, वो एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड नहीं है, पर वो एडवेंचर है। उधर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, उधर इक्विपमेंट है, उनकी एफर्ट है, वो गुड्स को बेच रहे हैं, गुड्स में प्रॉफिट हो रहा है। तो इट इज नॉट इन द नॉट फॉलोइंग इन द category of either trade or adventure in the nature of trade, but it might be falling in the category of adventure. And the decision goes further and says, how does it help to ask the question, if it is not a trade, what is it? It is a burglary and that is all there is to say about it. वो एक burglary है, it is not a trade or adventure in nature of trade, but it can be held to be a adventure. तो हमको ये दो जो एग्जाम्पल्स हैं, ये पहला एग्जाम्पल है वो ये बताता है कि मंकी इज नॉट अ ह्यूमन बीइंग, बट इट इज एन एनिमल इन द नेचर ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग। अ burglary which involves substantial effort and time in selling of goods at profit, it is neither a trade nor an adventure in the nature of trade, but it might be falling in the category of adventure, although it is not specifically given in the decision that it would be an adventure. But there is a risk which is being taken for getting those goods, although by illegal means, and when it is being sold, that there is a transaction being taken place, and that transaction would be an adventure, although not an adventure in the nature of trade. So what is the big move by GST vis-a-vis other statutes? We have discussed the meaning of adventure. We have discussed the meaning of adventure in the nature of trade. We have discussed the difference between the two. And the biggest difference is there need not be any characteristics of the trade for a transaction to be falling in the realms of adventure. A speculation is an adventure, although it might not be an adventure in the nature of trade. A motive to earn profit instantly might be falling in the adventure, although it not be a adventure in the nature of trade. In the case of Bhogilal H. Patel versus Commissioner of Income Tax, there were three cases given, and on a broad interpretation, these three cases might show the difference between GST and the other statutes. So the first case which they have given is where a person purchases a property for his own enjoyment and use only with no intention of trading in it or making profit out of it. तो पहला केस है कि भाई मैंने वो प्रॉपर्टी अपने लिए खरीदी, उस प्रॉपर्टी में रह रहा हूँ मेरे को, और मेरा कोई इंटेंशन नहीं है कि उससे मेरे को प्रॉफिट कमाना है, या मेरे को उसमें कोई ट्रेडिंग करनी है। तो ऐसे ट्रांजेक्शन में अगर मैं 20 साल बाद 15 साल बाद उसको बेचता भी हूं, तो नाइदर इट इज एन एडवेंचर नॉर एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड। सेकंड, rather than second, let's move on to the third. Then we would be going on to the second case. A case where the property is bought showing no intention to use or enjoy the property at all, but only in order to earn profit. तो कोई इंटेंशन नहीं है कि उसको एंजॉय करना है या उसको पर्सनल यूज के लेना है, मेरा तो सिर्फ इंटेंशन है खरीदना और बेचना है। सो certain other conditions being satisfied, the transaction would be falling into the category of adventure in the nature of trade. But even without certain other conditions of trade not being satisfied, this transaction is certainly a case of adventure. But more, it would be tilted toward adventure in the nature of trade. But every time and every case, it would be falling in adventure. Now, coming to the second scenario, where he intends to use the property for his own use and enjoyment, but intends to profit by it if a reasonable price is obtained at some future date. मतलब मैंने लिया और मेरे था कि मैं खुद यूज कर लूंगा, पर अगर जैसे ही मेरे को बायर मिलेगा तो मैं उसको बेच दूंगा। तो ये जो सेकंड केस है वो ऑब्वियसली एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड नहीं है, पर ये सेकंड केस जो है ये एडवेंचर में फॉल कर सकता है, क्योंकि वहां पे एक रिस्क लिया गया है। रिस्क क्या लिया गया है कि मेरे को बेचना है और मैं यूज तब तक ही करूंगा जब तक नहीं बिकेगा, और अगर जैसे कोई फेवरेबल चीज मिली तो मैं बेच दूंगा। तो दैट मीन्स अ रिस्क हैज बीन टेकन while entering into the transaction, and when a risk is taken and that risk is associated either having the risk of loss or a chance of gain, it would be falling under the category of adventure. तो अगर हम तीन केसेस देखते हैं, तो पहला केस जहां पे मैं खुद के इंजॉयमेंट के लिए कर रहा हूं, तो ना तो ये एडवेंचर है ना एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड है। सेकंड केस जहां पे मैं उसको तब तक ही एंजॉय कर रहा हूं जब तक मेरे को फेवरेबल बायर नहीं मिलता, बाकी मेरा इंटेंशन तो फेवरेबल बायर को लेते ही उसको बेचना है, तो वो सर्टेनली एडवेंचर है, एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड नहीं है। तीसरा केस जहां पे मैं तो खरीद ही रहा हूं कि मेरे को तो बेचना है प्रॉफिट में, तो वो एडवेंचर तो है ही है, पर एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड होने के लिए मोटिव के साथ में उसको कुछ और चीजें भी ट्रेड की साथ में लेनी पड़ेंगी। तो इस तरह से हम देखते हैं कि किस तरह से हम तीन केसेस में ये चीज देखते हैं कि पहला केस ना तो जीएसटी एक्ट में ना दूसरा एक्ट में बिजनेस था। दूसरा केस जो है वो जीएसटी में बिजनेस की डेफिनेशन में फॉल कर रहा है, पर दूसरे एक्ट में तो बिजनेस की डेफिनेशन में फॉल करने का कोई क्वेश्चन ही नहीं उठता। तीसरा केस वो जीएसटी में तो बिजनेस में फॉल कर ही रहा है, दूसरे एक्ट में भी बिजनेस में फॉल कर जाता, प्रोवाइडेड certain other characteristics of trade are also present in this transaction. If they are present, it would be falling in the definition of business in those acts, but if the other characteristics of trade are not present, then it might fall outside the ambit of adventure in the nature of trade. तो मैं अगर इसको और सिंपली तरीके से बात करूं, तो एडवेंचर इज अ मच ब्रॉडर टर्म देन एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड, and it includes in it ambit, और एडवेंचर इंक्लूड्स इन इट एम्बेड एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड। तो एडवेंचर में फॉल करने के लिए अगर ट्रेड के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं तो भी वो एडवेंचर में फॉल करेगा, नहीं है पर वो एडवेंचर की दूसरी कंडीशन जैसे स्पेकुलेशन या फिर चांस ऑफ प्रॉफिट या फिर रिस्क ऑफ लॉस या फिर पिक्यूनरी वेंचर, ये सब चीजें वो फुलफिल करता है। without having the characteristics of trade, still it would be falling into the definition of adventure. And since it would be falling in the definition of adventure, it would be it might fall in the ambit of business under the CGST Act. Honorable Apex Court in case of G. Venkataswamy Naidu, while discussing the expression adventure in the nature of trade, which define and referring to Section 2 class subsection 4, which defines business as including any trade, commerce or manufacture or any adventure or concern in the nature of trade, commerce or manufacture, held that generally speaking it would not be difficult to decide whether a given transaction is an adventure in the nature of trade or not. It is the cases on borderline that causes difficulty. मतलब क्योंकि वहां पे एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड को डिस्कस कर रहे थे, इसलिए इधर सबसे पहले उस चीज को रेफर करा, पर जो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट है वो उसकी एग्जांपल है जो आगे दिया. If a person invests money in land intending to hold it, enjoys its income for some time, and then sells it at a profit, it would be a clear case of capital acquisition and not profit derived from an adventure in the nature of trade. तो क्योंकि वहां पे वो डेफिनेशन एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड को रेफर कर रही थी, इसलिए उन्होंने वो ट्रांजेक्शन जहाँ पे मैंने लैंड में इन्वेस्ट किया, उसकी इनकम थोड़े टाइम अर्न करी और फिर मैंने उसको प्रॉफिट में बेच दिया, तो वहां पे मेरा दो रिस्क मैंने लिए प्रॉपर्टी खरीदते हुए. पहला रिस्क तो मैंने लिया कि मैंने वो रिस्क इसलिए लिया कि मेरे को कुछ टाइम तक के लिए उसकी इनकम को एंजॉय करना था और फिर मेरे को उसको प्रॉफिट पे बेचना था. So although it was a case of capital accretion and not falling into the ambit of adventure in nature of trade, but purely seeing it from the perspective of GST and observing that GST only uses the term adventure rather than adventure in the nature of trade, this transaction might fall in the ambit of adventure, although not in the ambit of adventure in the nature of trade. Cases of realization of investment consisting of purchase and resale, though profitable, are clearly outside the domain of adventure in the nature of trade. So, although these cases could be outside the domain of adventure in the nature of trade, but these cases would or might fall in the domain of adventure. And that we have to understand that since the legislatures have used the word adventure, so the definitions of the cases which were given under previous regime would not be as readily applicable in GST. और क्योंकि आपने देखा होगा हमने जितने केसेस रेफर करे मोस्टली उन केसेस में एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड था, तो वो इसीलिए था क्योंकि ज्यादातर एक्ट्स में यही टर्म यूज किया गया था. और अब जीएसटी में उस टर्म को और ब्रॉड कर दिया गया है जहां पे उन्होंने सिर्फ एडवेंचर यूज किया है, ना कि एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड है. तो हमको हमारी थिंकिंग को और थोड़ा सा ब्रॉड करना पड़ेगा टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग. Sharing another decision of Supreme Court of Canada, wherein they held that adventurers do not carry on business. The definition of business before the Honorable Supreme Court of Canada included adventure in the nature of trade, and therefore they held that only persons who carry on a business ought to be entitled to benefit from that section, and adventurers do not carry on business. So adventurers might be held as carrying out an adventure, but if that adventure is not in the nature of trade, and since the definition before them provided the term adventure in the nature of trade, therefore, if that characteristics of trade are not present in that adventure, it would not be held that adventurers are carrying on a business. So, with this, we conclude our discussion on adventure as given in the definition of business under section 2 clause 17 of CGST Act. And along with that, we have also discussed a very important aspect of what is meant by adventure in the nature of trade and how adventure is different from adventure in the nature of trade. For starting, we can say that adventure is a much broader term. It includes in its ambit adventure in the nature of trade. Second thing which we can conclude is most of the previous acts, while defining the term definition, were using the term adventure in the nature of trade. But under the CGST Act, the term business includes adventure. So, activities which were not held as business under those act might fall under the definition of business in CGST Act, since it uses the term adventure rather than adventure in the nature of trade. Thirdly, taking an example, supposedly I have say rupees 50 lakh rupees. I don't have any other activity. I invest those 50 lakh rupees in an FD with the bank. Now, whether investing of those 50 lakh rupees, these are not business funds. These are my personal funds. So it is not an activity. Investing of that amount in a FD with the bank is not incidental or ancillary to my business activity. These are my own personal funds which I am investing with the bank. So whether that investment of 50 lakh rupees with the bank would be an adventure and thereby falling into the definition of business, in my view, investing amount with the bank is a risk-free investment. It does not entail substantial amount of risk, and since there is no chances, there are minimal chances, not cannot say no chances, but minimum chances of loss, and a fixed rate of return would be given. So I am not carrying out any pecuniary venture, I am not carrying out any speculation, I am not carrying out any venture wherein there is a chance of gain or a risk of loss. So in my view, if there is a standalone activity of investing in a business, investing in a FD with the bank, it is not an adventure, therefore not falling under the ambit of business. Secondly, supposedly I invest those 50 lakh rupees in a property to earn rental income. Once I invest those 50 lakh rupees, now I am investing for a return which is more than a risk-free return. And there is a risk that the property might be let out or might not be let out. So I am taking certain amount of risk for earning an income which is over and above the risk-free return. So that activity of purchasing a property and letting it out on rent on a broad basis might fall under the ambit of adventure and therefore under the ambit of business. Thirdly, supposedly I buy a property and with a view to instantly sell it. This is an adventure as we have discussed previously. I purchase the property with an intention to sell and to use until a proper buyer is received. But the intention is there to sell it as soon as a proper buyer is there. Or supposedly I purchase the property and the market goes into the slump, but my intention is there and subsequently within a period of say 6 to 8 months the market takes upward trend and I am able to sell it. This would be an adventure. But if I buy a property for my own habitat or for my own living, and say after 15 to 20 years I sell that property. It is not an adventure because I was not taking a risk. I was purchasing the property for my own use, for my investment, for my stay. So therefore, if that in that case, if the property is sold, in my view, it is not an adventure. For an adventure, there has to be a certain amount of risk which is being taken. The intention should be there that it is not being purchased for own use, it is being purchased for earning some income in future, whether it is a very near future or some distant future, but the intention is to earn the income. And that earning of income is somewhere more than the risk-free rate of return. That earning of income exposes me to a certain amount of risk of loss or gives me a chance to gain. It might be a speculation. Only then it would be an adventure. But there, where the purpose of purchasing is own use or self use, then in my view, it is not an adventure. And the examples which were discussed at the starting, that when there is risk-free rate return of 6%, a person is investing or using the sum for earning income of say 9%, it is an adventure. So a big shift of whether or not the activity contains any characteristics of trade, still that activity would be falling under the ambit of business, has been sought to be made under the CGST Act by only using the term adventure rather than adventure in the nature of trade. So with this we conclude our discussion on the term adventure, और एक चीज जो नटशेल में हमको देखनी पड़ेगी कि जब भी हम किसी पुराने डिसीजंस को यहाँ पे जीएसटी में यूज करना चाहेंगे फॉर वेदर और नॉट एक्टिविटी फॉल्स अंडर द एम्बिट ऑफ एडवेंचर या एडवेंचर इन द नेचर ऑफ ट्रेड, तो हमको देखना पड़ेगा कि वेदर द definition of business in that act to which the decision pertains was parametria to the decision definition of business under GST Act, and whether that definition use the term adventure या फिर adventure in the nature of trade. अगर वो decision adventure in the nature of trade को लेकर के दिया गया है तो it might have a limited applicability under the CGST Act and would have to be used with a bit of caution, and seeing the context and the meaning of the term and whether the activity is an adventure or not without having necessary or required characteristics of trade, even then it might fall under the definition of business in GST Act, although it might be held that that activity was not falling under the definition of business under that act, since that act uses adventure in the nature of trade. So we have to be a bit cautious while using the previous decisions, and since this act makes a substantial departure from those acts. And in the next part, we would be discussing the definition of business, section 2, clause 17, subclause A, B, and C. This is an attempt by us to discuss in detail about the intricacies of the terms of the provisions in GST, and we sincerely hope that these presentations would be helping you a lot in understanding GST And this is our object of spreading knowledge and sharing knowledge and updating knowledge through this series. We have our limitation both in terms of time and the material we can share, but we are trying to be as detailed as possible, and we are interpreting the terms in a manner which harmonizes with the intention of the legislature. And since it is a new act, our interpretation might differ from your interpretation, but we are trying to develop a base, providing a platform where one you can decide or interpret the terms in the manner looking to the context of the act. With these words, a big thank you for following us, and if you are liking our presentation, please do like, share, or subscribe our YouTube channel and visit our website www.gst-online.com and be with us in this journey of understanding goods and services tax. Thank you very much.